X-Men wine mom.
Oh, 1,000%.
Yep. Baron Zemo.
Bullseye down there at the bottom of the board for Sooner, and then he is going to place his Deadpool right on top.
Deadpool.
And there's Cable, hanging out with his best friend, Baron Zemo.
I look like a spook.
Who's playing, bro? Just got here. Brian Freddy, hey, by the way, thank you for joining the Patreon, dude. That was very nice. I really appreciate that. Thank you. We have Pat from Afraid-O's Size 3 Tackle Truck playing X-Force for Nathan's Angels, and we have Sooner from Grip It and Rip It.
Pincushion's 5.
Yeah, but he rolled 4 dice and crit, so
well, that's because you
do a bit of throwing knife.
You get
right?
to you get to make a throwing knife after you do the attack.
Gotcha. So that was the follow-up.
Yeah.
Which is kind of brutal, especially when you have somebody like Toad who's like, I'm just going to hang out back here, snap that one objective, and then run away.
Yep.
He now can't do the runaway piece. So it's kind of like Black Widow's the same way. Nebula don't care. Objectives aren't real. Objectively, they're objective.
Objective, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm just trying to,
Tizzy, I hate to say it, but I think Magneto's probably the weakest of the... Jesus. I'm not sure I'm allowed to legally say this. I love mommy. Thank you for the follow. I'm not sure if I'm not... or the chin, because these areas are the ones that jut out the most, so it requires more hair for it to be harder to see. It'll be like the most transparent. And then just make sure you get along the ridge line, or the jaw line. And then just make sure you also make sure it's in front of the ear, because that's where the hair actually grows. So if they have something on their face, that makes it easy. But what you do is you can do a couple layers, and what this will do... I'm like a ripe grape. You just gotta step on me. Don't clip that.
Sooner putting another W under the belt.
Yep.
Got to thank the person that is shackled in his basement. He's given him all the practice he could possibly need.
Yep.
This is incredible. What an upset. There's Domino. Gotta love her.
Domino. Orders usually in 30 minutes.
Bullseye's
Get
down.
10 pizza points every time you play her.
Domino is definitely a X-Men wine mom.
Oh, 1,000%.
Yep. Baron Zemo.
Bullseye down there at the bottom of the board for Sooner, and then he is going to place his Deadpool right on top.
Deadpool.
And there's Cable, hanging out with his best friend, Baron Zemo.
I look like a spook.
which is kind of brutal, especially when you have somebody like Toad who's like, I'm just going to hang out back here, snap that one objective, and then run away.
Yep.
He now can't do the runaway piece. So it's kind of like Black Widow's the same way. Nebula don't care. Objectives aren't real. Objectively, they're objective.
Objective, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm just trying to, make the game last longer because this is going to be quick. So we are going to start out with Black Widow over here.
Who's playing, bro? Just got here. Brian Freddy, hey, by the way, thank you for joining the Patreon, dude. That was very nice. I really appreciate that. Thank you. We have Pat from Afraid-O's Size 3 Tackle Truck playing X-Force for Nathan's Angels, and we have Sooner from Grip It and Rip It.
Pincushion's 5.
Yeah, but he rolled 4 dice and crit, so
Well, that's because you
do a bit of throwing knife,
You get
right?
you get to make a throwing knife after you do the attack.
Gotcha. So that was the follow-up.
Yeah,
Who's playing, bro? Just got here. Brian Freddy, hey, by the way, thank you for joining the Patreon, dude. That was very nice. I really appreciate that. Thank you. We have Pat from Afraid-O's Size 3 Tackle Truck playing X-Force for Nathan's Angels, and we have Sooner from Grip It and Rip It.
Pincushion's 5.
Yeah, but he rolled 4 dice and crit, so
Well, that's because
you do a bit of throwing knife,
You get
right?
to you get to make a throwing knife after you do the attack.
Gotcha. So that was the follow-up.
Yeah, Domino. Gotta love her.
Domino. Orders usually in 30 minutes.
Bullseye's
Get
down.
10 pizza points every time you play her.
Domino is definitely a X-Men wine mom.
Oh, 1,000%.
Yep. Baron Zemo.
Bullseye down there at the bottom of the board for Sooner, and then he is going to place his Deadpool right on top.
People of the internet, it is me, Dr. D. Wow, incredible. It's Sunday, which means extra hobby chat, even though it's been every Sunday since I've been put in charge of this. Invite to what? Just go in the Discord.
Hello.
Okay. I think they can hear you. There's nobody here, but if there was somebody here, I bet they could hear you.
Okay. I gotta turn my my audio down to 69.
Nice.
I knew you'd like it.
Yeah, it's picking you up. Okay, you're in here. It's us. We did it. We've conquered the internet. We did it again. Hooray. We did it, guys. Yeah, we did it. We're the best.
So I'm
Hi,
actually
Ernie.
I'm gonna mute you. I don't want to hear you through the headphones, but you may want to do the same to me, because it's a little bit of an echo.
Oh, when I have a headset on, I can't hear you
Okay.
anyway. So,
Hey, look, Choppa.
it's Ernie. Hi, Ernie.
Well, his name is Choppa. I don't want to dox him.
His name is. He didn't answer my question in the chat. That's what his actual name is.
That's all. I was gonna do more, but they're mine. There we go.
Okay, so today we will be painting some Shatterpoint. Maybe some other stuff too. Just kind of depends on what we're doing in case we need to wait for something to dry. I don't suspect we will, but I think today
Were these here to show off?
will be no. I did those. I was fixing those to put them in the cabinet later. So we're gonna be treating the droids to a little fun paint time. So the white is done, which we did well, I guess that was last week. I guess technically. So last week we did that, and then today, hopefully, we'll get them most of the way done. Thankfully, the R2 is actually surprisingly simple. I keep looking at art for him, and I don't know what I'm remembering, but I keep thinking that he's like way more paint intensive than he actually is. So not a huge deal there. So that's cool. I also got a Malifaux model over here just in case we need something to paint on the off in any off time we might have. And then
What's her name?
his name is Pearl. Pearl Musgrove. She's pretty good. Pretty good in the game. We used her against you yesterday. She was
She was pretty good.
pretty okay. And we will also be touching up some other Shatterpoint stuff with the Lando Calrissian model, which is in the same set as Bar 2. So I'm hopefully going to be finishing up that box. I think all that's left is Lando, R2. Well, I guess it's everybody but Luke. You know, with those boxes, it only have 4 models. But pretty soon I'll probably paint her. I'll also have quite a bit. Yeah, I can hear an echo of me in the background from the headset. Oh, great. I'm going to get more
Like,
complaints.
I'm not offended if you need to mute me.
Gonna complain. Oh yeah, that's probably true. I do need to do that.
Like, we can hear each other.
I'm glad we're like in a chat by ourselves and then we just mute each other. Yeah, that's yeah, it's for the diehard fans in the chat. And then I was gonna show off the finished Russians. So last week, I am still there. I promise. I had to get up. Last week we were doing the Russians, and I said that they would be finished, and they sort of are. Everything but the last part. So.
They look way better than the picture on the website.
So I think they came out pretty good.
They look so cold.
Yeah, I would imagine they are.
really look like they're in the cold.
I didn't do any red noses or anything actually. I might do that.
Oh, that's a good point.
I do them every once in a while. I don't do it on everybody because it kind of loses the the novelty of it. But I think they actually came out pretty okay. That's true. That's what they say. A lot of people say that. Lots and lots and lots of people say that. Okay, so yeah, there's gonna be dogs in the background. You're gonna. Yeah, well, let's just say we're seeing the numbers improve in real time. Okay, so we might get a big rush of people at some point because, from what I understand, Hello There is gonna send people as soon as Jesse knows what's going on. So we might get a big rush of people here pretty soon. But I don't think we should wait for them. What we could do, as just a little aside until they start showing up, though, is we could do a couple people with the little red noses thing I was talking about. So if you're painting models in the cold, something that you could always do, especially if they're human, is you can paint their faces and like the nose and stuff like that, like a little red to make it look like they're irritated. So I'm actually just going to use a little bit of like Mephiston red. I love their the air versions of them. But again, with GW paints, you always got to be careful because technically the colors will change between pots, which is which is great. Just take a little bit of that red. You really want to be careful with this. It's pretty light stuff. Take it. So if you're well, in this case, if you're painting like Hoth troopers or something, because I'm assuming Rebel Hoth stuff is going to come out at some point. What you can do is this, which I've definitely done before. For some Star Wars stuff that was on like ice planets. But you just take a little red and you put it on his nose, and they definitely look very irritated. Thank you, Scarlet Widow, even though I know who you are. And then you can put a little bit on cheeks. Yeah, now we're a profitable stream. We did it. And there you go. And then that's a pretty easy trick that you can do to really enhance the quality of your models. I've found that it's usually the little details that people fall in love with. Hi, Dan. How's it going, Dan? It really will make your model stand out from the crowd. That is definitely a very easy way to do it. And the more you can incorporate your not your table, but like your basing. The more your basing strategy blends in with the model, I think that you get a bit of a third aspect to the models that you would otherwise not get. Just because it's like a form of storytelling. See, there you go. So now he looks like he's got irritated nose. You could even use like a gloss varnish and maybe do like a little snot coming out of their nose or something like that. But I think that would be that would be hard to see. But if you have like a bigger model that you really want to look like they're freezing, like if you're doing not a diorama, but like a bust, you could always add a little like gloss varnish. I've noticed that you could use gloss varnish for like a lot of different things. You'll get like really cool effects. So there you go. So I'm doing like I'll do like 4 of them. Do one more, just to kind of break it up, just make it like just give it the old razzle dazzle.
Our dogs are not happy that we're both painting at the same time.
Yeah, the dogs will get upset that we paint at the same time. So if you hear them woofing, it's unacceptable that we are here painting together.
I hear you, but I'm painting. It's not dinner time.
There you go. And then one other thing. Yeah, I know it's not R2. It'll be 1 sec. I'm just finishing up what we were doing last week, just to kind of do some tips. See, R2's real. See, he's right here.
I'm hot and tired from mowing the yard. Aww. And he came in here
It'll be
for some
fine.
R2, and yeah, I get that.
Rylan, you got it. Just once, one tire spin at a time.
R2 is the big portion of the stream.
Yeah, for sure. And then the other last thing I want to go over that's kind of cool, again, that is really good for like narrative storytelling if you want to go for your bases and stuff like that. Whoever that is in the background, I can't hear. Can you not hear Kara on the... Oh, it's because I muted her. Right, that's the only reason.
Doesn't work.
Yeah, because then they're going to have to hear. I don't know if there's going to be a way to fix that.
Yeah.
I guess I'll just have to talk quietly. I'll just have to whisper.
That's,
It's Kara.
That's a difficult challenge for me.
Kara is the significant other of the house. Okay, so something you can do, again, for like ice basing. So what I did was I saw that this one had a lot of gaps in the basing. So I was like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if it looked like there was like some frozen water? So I painted in like a little bit of like a icy sky blue. Turn her up. There.
Hey, hey.
Turn her up. Now you're taking a shower.
He's like, I want to listen to that
Bro,
while I'm in the shower.
what do you want from me, Rylan? Jeez.
I think you
Okay.
misunderstand this stream, Rylan.
So anyway, what you can do is you see that blue there. You can hit it with a little bit of like a gloss varnish. So funnily enough, this is actually something that GW makes that I think is really good. They have an art goat. It's really kind of easy to access, like a gloss varnish. Just make sure you don't use a expensive brush for this. So if you just take it, it's really, really good, cheap water effect if you want to use it like that. So you just get it in there and you glob it up in the areas that you think you want some like ice. Even just the the shininess of it, as long as the coat underneath it, you will get like a good water effect. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, Tim.
I don't shower to Tim's voice either.
Yeah, that's true. I guess I don't either, even though I probably should. It might help with my commissioned rates, you know. Maximum sellout. But anyway, you go in there with a little bit of that varnish. You can even glob it in there because you want it to look like liquid. Now you could use water effect, but I notice it's kind of just a pain in the butt to get it all out, just to do like a little puddle. And then you just plop it in there. And as you can see, it kind of gives it like a little bit. It's like a super cheap water effect. It's super easy. And
For like tiny places, not like big pools.
yeah, don't use it for like terrain and stuff like that. That will be bad. That will be very, very bad. Hold on, I gotta fix something real quick. Okay, so let's get to the main part of the show. So we're gonna do some Shatterpoint R2D2. So we have both of the R2D2s that AMG have released. We've really got to fix that audio thing. It's gonna drive me insane. Listening to myself.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I'll mute myself when I'm not talking.
There you go. That works. Okay, so what was I saying? What are you ouching, Dan? Oh, oh, you mean what he was talking about? Okay, so we have both of the AMG R2D2s. Bar 2D2 is the one that comes in the Jabba's Palace, I guess is what people are calling it. Or at least the skiff, I guess. I mean, maybe not the palace itself, but the palace skiff from Shatterpoint, which comes with the Luke, the Lando, the Leia in the bounty hunter. I guess it would be palace because she's not in that outfit. Otherwise, she'd be in the bikini. And then the other one is from the Endor box, which is not the one that Leia's in. It's the one that comes with, I want to say the Shaman. I don't remember, but the R2D2s are pretty much exactly the same, which is cool. I already did the blue. So last week we did the silver, which is essentially just some scale 75s. Did it, and then we gave it a bit of a blue glaze to make it more shiny and metallic, which is what gives it some depth. So if you look at like this side, which is the shaded half, and then you look at the bright side, you got two different kinds of metal there, which I think it came out pretty okay, which I'm happy with. So when you look at pictures of R2, which I will pull up for myself, R2D2's blue is actually it's not quite as like electric blue as for some reason my brain told me it was. So what we're gonna do?
It's not as metallic as I thought it was either.
Yeah, I think the only part of it that's silver, I think, is just the dome. So we're gonna use some dark Prussian blue. It's one of my favorites for blue basing, and usually where I start with pretty much all my blues and whites, actually, ironically enough. Anybody who's been watching this stream is going to be familiar with this color. So you get yourself a fairly decent brush. I got my old standard workhorse, the old One Monument Pro Sables. These used to be called Bomb Wicks. I don't know what they're called. I guess they're called Pro Sables now.
I do think that's what they were advertising at that con that I remember hearing about them.
Yeah, back then, that was before they partnered up with somebody else or something like that. I don't know the details, but anyway, so there was one part of this thing that I did miss around his little front vents. it's blue. I forgot to paint that when I was doing this, so you just get in there, be real careful, because we already painted the white.
Now, what's your advice for people like me who just haven't figured out how to control their hands yet and aren't careful?
Key is bracing. So when you look at like a desk, there's like the corner here. So like the corner of the desk. This is how I control it. I'll just like literally prop my forearm on it so it can't shake.
Mm.
And other than that, just a lot of practice. You could always hold your breath, because when you hold your breath, your body doesn't sway quite as much. And the other one, incredibly enough, if you have problems with the shakes, actually alcohol. Drink an adult beverage, and it can actually help you
Really?
stop swaying. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Not too.
I
not too
noticed
much.
I was shaking a lot when I was taking the pictures too. Like I would get it where I wanted it,
Mhm.
and then the camera would shift just a little bit every time I pushed the button.
Yeah, and that's just because when you tighten a muscle, your body's gonna like move, uh, which it's just kind of just normal. It's a normal thing your body does. Anyway, so get in there with this blue, clean up a little bit, and if there's a little spillage, that's fine, because this is all for Jesse from Fury's Finest, or I guess hello there. So when I paint stuff for him, he really likes weathering. So what you can do as a cool little stopgap is when you paint something and you get a little spillage, you can just weather that spot. Please turn off your audio, Kara.
Oh, sorry.
When you have the opportunity to essentially like clean up, you can go in there and just kind of do whatever. And then, so I guess in this case you could like put some dirt marks there, and it can hide any spillage that you might have, which makes it pretty easy, in my opinion, at least in my opinion. Okay, so at this point we're just making sure we didn't miss any spots that are supposed to be blue, because we're about to start highlighting that stuff. Somebody sent me a message. Trying to figure out the music situation, because last time we got in a little bit of trouble. It's on the left side. Hold on one sec, guys. It's on the left side of Streamlabs and apps. Okay. Okay, I found it. There we go. There we go. Okay. What? I think so. I just gotta figure out how to get back to where it was. Nope. There we go. Okay, so just finishing up base coats, get the blue, because you want to make sure that the undercoat of this is going to be as opaque as possible, because we're going to start painting on top of this. Which honestly, I don't think it's gonna take that long. For what? If you want. Okay, so I think that looks okay. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to work up to the next blue. Now, when you look at the reference pictures, he really doesn't get that blue. I think that the last color we use will probably be maybe a little surprisingly lighter on the scale, on the blue scale, just because we want to give it a little pop. But I think I really like electric blue. It's one of my favorites. I think this actually works out pretty well. We're not going to use it pure, because if we do, I think it will take it off the scale, off the color scale that we're trying to get. So we just plop some of that down if I have any left in this poor bottle. I've been using this stuff a lot. Okay, so I'm going to take some of that new blue, make a little puddle, a little bit of the old blue, give it a good mix. We're looking for something kind of, I'm going to say maybe roughly a little bit more on the lighter side. So I'm not looking for like quite 50-50. And make sure you give it enough water to keep it flowing. And I'm just mixing more and more electric blue in there until I get it consistently that I like. So yeah, probably right about there. Clean the brush. Okay. So we're going to think about light source. So again, we're looking for up and to the right. So we're looking from going from this way. So whenever we drag the brush, we're going to put it there and we're going to give it a little drag towards the light source. Now, when it comes to something that has like a 3D texture like these do, you'll have to get like the sides of the thing, of the little squares that are on R2. Now, each of these little squares is going to give you like a new chance to practice trying to pull the light towards your, the highlight towards the light source. The one disadvantage that you'll have with something with like an airbrush is that you can't get the individual highlights on each thing, something like that, like on a panel, very easily. Which is why it's really good for like doing vehicles and stuff, because most of the time those vehicles have like just, you know, single, they're not like paneled. That's why they're good for like tanks and stuff like that. While little stuff like this, it's hard to get that much control out of an airbrush. And at this point, we're just doing, you know, groundwork.
That color looks really good.
Thank you. Kara, what are you painting?
I am working on a field reporter from Malifaux. That's my new game this week.
So Kara and I have been playing around with Malifaux, which I used to play a lot of. Well before I even knew Kara. To this day, it's the only event I've ever actually been able to win.
Woo! That was weak. I'm sorry.
And it was a long time ago when I used to play. Back, it must have been like middle of second ed or second edition. Yeah, ed. I guess that works. But I played Guild, so I played a lot of Perdita, and a lot of McMorning, who is no longer in Guild, which makes me sad.
I have this problem probably like 50% of the time when I'm using monument paint, where it's kind of like, it's almost like not congealing. It's like bubbling up almost. The paint kind of
I would say
not clinging.
it's probably, did you shake it?
Did, but it did kind of come out watery.
Yeah, that usually means there's too much. You got too much medium and not enough paint.
Okay.
So you can usually just fix that by adding more coats or shake the bottle up and get some more of the actual paint inside the bottle. And it does depend on the color. Like that color right there is going to be a little bit difficult because it's on the lighter side.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be less coverage anyway. Now that is one of, so turn off the sound. That is the orange brown from Flame-Ons. So that one is mostly made for non-metal metallics, which means that you really want those to be light because you're gonna look for like a lot of good transparency out of those things.
So like a rust look, maybe.
Like a what?
Like a rust look on metal.
No, well, I guess you could. I'd use something a little bit more on the orange side of things. Like that one's probably not orange enough. So I would use something like this, like a Rise of Rust. This would be the orange I would use for Rust. That one,
Okay.
it's a little more on the orange scale. That one's a little more like a brown.
I was just, I wanted to paint her pants like a dark brown. And I'm gonna do her hair dark brown. And I wanted her boots to be different than her pants, since she has such cute high knee boots.
Which is a good way to differentiate. Which goes to show you that you can use the same colors to paint. Like you could have a model that's mostly browns, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't have that it can't be different different shades of brown. Which is a great way to help models stick out, just because you'll have like different. I guess you could say textures or just different materials, which is something even with contrast paint. If people are painting with their contrasts, I would always recommend using varying shades of brown, just to break it up a little bit, especially with contrast, because it can look kind of samey. Again, not like I don't really care if people use contrast, but if you're gonna have the opportunity to kind of break it up a little bit, I always suggest something you do.
So snakebite leather contrast is what I'm aiming for with her purse and her boots.
Sure, I can see that. And what you could even do is paint it like a dark brown or whatever, and then you could even use contrast on top of browns that you already have there to give it a different look, if that makes sense. So when it comes to painting this kind of stuff, it's there's really no tip. It's just monotonous. Just monotonous work. What is everybody in the chat painting?
Can we figure out a way to like share everybody's whips?
I know there is a way to do it. I have not had a chance to look up how to do it. I know it's similar to like a photo dump. So you just go to a link and essentially save a picture. That will be something I do eventually. It's just a matter of setting it up, which I think now that my future unemployment's coming, that will definitely be something I can work on with my free time. And according to this app, this is synthwave.
You can't hear the music. But I'll trust you on that.
No, I don't trust it. That doesn't sound like synthwave at all. So this will also be the first model that I paint where I will be basing it in indoor style. So it will be a good example of learning how to use AMG's bases. So like this might look like it's the metal one, but with just some simple paste, it's actually pretty easy to crap, what was I saying? Sorry, somebody said something completely distracted me. Oh yeah, indoor. So it's going to be indoor style. So it will be a good example of how to use their pre-molded bases and to add some, like just some texture and some of GW's, I guess they're called texture paints. Yeah, they're technicals, they're basing ones. You can use those and you can very easily turn it into something that looks completely different. You don't actually have to get like a pre-molded base in order to do like a jungle. And something I always try and recommend when it comes to painting similar colors that are on like different things, where they're not like on the same continuous like piece. Like in this case, he's got panels. You want to leave some of that dark color in between the two just to differentiate them. And there you go. That's a finished mid-tone for the blue on this one. So, jump to. This one's going to be a lot more tricky, obviously, because he's got the bar the little bar set up. Hope everybody's having a lovely lazy Sunday. At least for Island, who's working, you know, mowing the lawn. Remember when I had to used to do that? And the models I painted actually got a Best Painted at Adepticon, so, you know. One of the things that I've ever done that should give me some, I guess, what's the right word? Credentials, I guess. To tell you how to get stuff painted. So I won Best Painted Team in Adepticon. For Shatterpoint. So let's just say I've spent some time around a paintbrush.
Whoever's the third, whoever's the other.
Like I said, I was actually kind of surprised at how little blue was on R2D2. I think just my my brain was telling me there was a lot more of it. Like a lot of, I was thinking too that I thought there was a lot more silver on him, like you were saying earlier. He's like less metallic. And when you're using air colors, because this electric blue is I want to say it's Vallejo Air, you're definitely going to need a couple coats. Yeah, Game Air. You're definitely going to need a couple coats of this. Not exactly the most exciting stuff in the world, but it's one of those things where people don't like to do the middle steps that make it look really good at the end. And then they're always like wowed by the end result of it, but they're never like, no one's really interested in the middle.
Like what kind of steps in the middle?
Like what I'm doing right now. Where you just got to make sure you just painstakingly highlight everything with whatever color. And you got to do multiple midtones to get it to look interesting. There is no like just single paint you can use to just like slap on it and then boom, it's done. Which, as much as, gosh, I wish something like that existed. That would just do the irritating base coating part of it. And a lot of times it's not even that bad, but when you have to do it like this, where it's kind of spotted all over the model, and you have to just be really careful because you don't want to spill any of this on other parts of the model that you've already painted, it can be trivial, I guess. Which I heard there's an update for Knights of the Old Republic. If anybody here plays that. There's another one of their big content updates coming up. Okay. So there you go. Some of that mid-tone. So now we have to start working up to definitely a more bright blue. So I'm going to start using the sky blue to start augmenting it, just to make it a little more, I guess you could say, saturated. It's kind of like more of a saturated blue because it's got some of that white in it. And I do like sky blue. Sky blue is pretty good color for just bringing up your blues. A lot of my, or probably my most famous army, my Infinity 012, a lot of it's that color and people absolutely adore it.
Yeah, that's a good painted army. Big fan.
You just add it in there. You don't want to go up too fast, but we are, since the panels are so small, we're going to go back in with the dark blue and we're going to kind of glaze it back to where it was before. So if you go up too fast, don't panic. It's pretty easy to fix. And again, you just go in there, and now you're just hitting the upper corners of the panels. And you can start to see right there, you're starting to see the value differences. So like here on this little ring, there's the previous color, and then as soon as you start adding in that saturatedness, you get a big increase in like value there for the blue. Hi, Tizzy. The one below all.
Hey, Tizzy.
Kara's microphone now, so careful what you say about her. Now that Tizzy's here, the real party can start. And then look at that. Boom! Look at the value. It's a circus of value here. Bam! Looking good. Tizzy, I've been trying to play Street Fighter. I wouldn't say competitively, but on ranked, and my goodness, I am bad. I went back to trying to learn classic controls because you get access to more of the like punches and stuff. Ooh boy, got some growing pains. Hold on one sec. Blue is definitely one of my favorite colors, though. It's very fun to paint. You get a lot of value out of it, no matter what the model is. Blue is also very, very easy to work with, I think. Like, every color has its own little, like, trial that you have to go through to learn how to paint. Everybody knows about the ones that everybody seems to have the most trouble with, which is whites and yellows. But, honestly, I've had more trouble with red. That's what I have a lot of trouble with. Getting a red that I like. Because I've painted a lot of red armies in my day. Like, I used to paint Blood Angels. I love Khorne, so, you know, I've painted a few Demons of Khorne in my day. Definitely some Berserker stuff. And, yeah, it's always been something that's kind of eluded me. As far as something that I'm always like totally happy with. Alright, so now when you look at this, you can clearly see that the light is coming from a certain direction, because you can see the gradient immediately on the thing, which is good. That's what we want. So let's just do it again. Other R2.
Are you gonna actually use metallics on C3PO, or are you gonna do that with a metallic?
No, I will actually just be using metallics on this. I don't have the time in my life to do it on something that big.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I will be doing a little bit of some advanced metallics as far as like technique goes, because I will be doing a.
He is right here.
What, as soon as you sat down?
Concerned and upset.
That you sat down. So I'm gonna be like this one's gonna be on Endor, so it's gonna have like the jungle basing to it, and we're gonna do a little bit of like a green undertone to the gold to give it a little bit of like a grass reflection, which is very, very helpful for breaking up the monotony of having a a model be like a single color. Also, this is the R2 that has a silver leg because of the events from the movie. So he will have a silver, I believe, right leg. I've seen a lot of people paint it without doing that. I don't really think it matters, but Jesse's definitely big on lore accuracy. So he made it a point to make sure that that was a thing. So I will not betray his wishes in that regard. I have been working on potentially getting some kind of demo set of the new War Crow stuff from Corvus Belli. I might be able to paint their models on the stream. I'm hoping that works out. That'd be really cool. Get pulled into the fold. Into the fold. So this panel's not coming out quite how I want it, but again, I wouldn't panic about it too much. We can go back in there and give it a little darkness where we want it later. Tomorrow, new episode of Arachne comes out. Spoiler alert, it is us talking to Mac from Monster Fight Club.
It's a very good episode.
Yeah, Mac's
Lots
a good guy.
of fun. Very funny.
Yeah, Mac's a good guy. He's super easy to talk to. Has been in the game biz for quite a while. He's been involved with a lot of games that people are probably pretty familiar with. So he did Malifaux 2nd Edition. Him and his wife did a lot of the lore for what we think of for the current Malifaux run. Like him and his wife are the ones that kind of set up a lot of it. Because Malifaux lore was pretty thin before 2nd Edition. There was definitely some to it, but it really came into its own in the 2nd Edition. That's when they started doing the podcast and stuff like that, or the broadcast, or whatever you call it, the breach side broadcast, I think is what it's called. But ironically enough, obviously, not even having met him back then, that was something I've played a lot of. So we started talking about it like back in the old days. And the irony was that we both agreed on a lot of the things with like the changes, like unsolicited. Me and my buddy Wilmar, we were talking about it on the car ride up to the event, and we met him there, and then we went and got dinner afterwards. Almost everything that I had said, he brought up as, "Oh yeah, I was like a part of that. I was the one that did this and that." I was like, "Well, no crap. Look at that. Small world."
Yeah. I could hear the love in your voice.
And it helps that he's like a good guy. He's I definitely got a lot of cool stories. He met George R.R. Martin when he came by one of the studios. I forget where he was working. I want to say he was working for Privateer Press. And he said that George R.R. Martin stopped by because there was something was going on that George R.R. Martin was nearby for it. And so he stopped by, and he had never met him. He had no idea what he looked like. So he said like some homeless guy came in and asked him like, "Hey, can you give me?" Because I guess the studio was saying, "Hey, if he wants anything, just give it to him." And the guy walked in, and he was saying like, yeah, I do this stuff or whatever. Are you the guy that wrote this, whatever? And he essentially wanted a book from the studio, and so he signed it because he was one of the developers for the book. So he signed a book for George R. R. Martin.
Damn.
Yeah, it was. I was like, oh, okay.
It's funny you should actually bring up George R. R. Martin, because when you mentioned that he and his wife work on the lore together, it made me think of the lore, the people who do the lore for George R. R. Martin, because it's too much, he can't handle it. So there's like this couple, and they do most of the research and documenting, and then they kind of run it by him. My dog's just having a fit that I'm painting tonight. So I think that's interesting that him and his wife do the lore together.
Okay, so now we're going to do the final highlight. So it's almost pure sky blue now, just a little bit of the previous color mixed in, just to keep it honest. And this time, we want to make sure it's real thin and you're real controlled on where you put this, because you just want it in the upper corners. Now we're definitely going to be playing with this blue a little bit more, because this is since he's made of metal, we're going to try and work on it to make it seem like it's made of metal. A little bit of hobo style, non-metal metallic stuff going on.
Okay, I'm gonna do my skin.
Okay.
So do I do everything and then paint her eyeballs black?
So you're gonna want to paint all the skin first.
Okay.
You got the base coat.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, the eyeballs. I always do the eyeballs last, but I've got a lot of practice. What you might even want to do is when you're right about to do like the very last highlight to it, then do it, because you can go back with the mid-tone.
You hear, Bubby? He was not in agreement with that. He said,
Well, Bubby's not as prolific of a painter as me.
No, it's true.
Alright, Junk. What you doing, Junk?
He's dressing out like mommy painting. So weird.
Chunk, you were over there napping, no problem, just 15 seconds ago. What seems to be the problem, bud?
She doesn't belong here, don't you know that?
Where's she supposed to be then, huh? If she's not here, she's over there standing by the fridge.
You make it sound like I'm just like grazing. I am not grazing by the fridge for everybody who's in the chat.
So there you go. Starting to see that depth in the blue, which is definitely my favorite part of this model. I'm not actually entirely sure how viable. People here might play a lot more Shadowpoint than me, if anybody could actually tell me, but I'm not entirely sure how good R2 and Bar 2 are. Obviously the game is just starting to is only just starting to get Rebel Alliance stuff. So I'm curious to see how that's holding up compared to the more developed other factions. Just refining. And we're refining. And we're refining. So, this is a good example. See how the left one has so much more depth? Just because we're really adding in a lot of contrast, and the contrast is really what makes it sing. And that's just a one layer difference. Hi, Senior Diablo. Also known as Wilmar. Wilmar, we've already made one Wilmar reference. You probably weren't here yet, because you were probably still on the train. Did you already get home, buddy? Or you still on the train? I guess you don't have to answer that if you don't want to. You see a doggo in the background. Doggo. Just got home. Well, welcome, Wilmar. We're in your home already.
Welcome.
What are you gonna paint, bud? If you know what, you would care. Nobody else cares. Here's the first Malifaux model that I think I'm gonna paint. I did start on the old Sonya, which I'll probably get back to at some point, but Pearl, who is the Bandit Frontier model that comes in the title box with Bass and Parker. Yeah, I think that's gonna be the first one I paint. I really like her. She's really good. Chicks with shotguns, you know? Something about it.
So, that reminds me, I was reading an article today, and Amber Heard moved to Spain and changed her name to whatever Calamity Jane's name was. Like, her actual name. Calamity Jane was kind of like a stage name,
Nice.
villain name.
Well, she moved to Spain and they found her, like, literally the next week.
He's like doing interviews and shit, but like the first thing I saw was this guy on YouTube, and he's like, I'm not gonna disclose her name for her privacy. It's all over the internet. She's talking about it all over the place. Like, who doesn't care about privacy?
Not gonna get involved in the politics on that one, but yeah, she doesn't really strike me as somebody who actually feels wounded by what happened.
And like, Johnny Depp even lowered his settlement for her, so she wouldn't have to pay any money out of pocket. Her insurance paid it all.
There you go.
Very kind of him.
I think what he really wanted out of the whole thing was he just wanted his reputation back. Which, unfortunately, I don't think he'll ever get it completely back. Just because of the world we live in, where half of the people are going to have some kind of opinion of you that you can't really change just because of what seems to be like political differences.
Yeah, I really think that, I think both of them were unhealthy in how they acted towards each other in their relationship, so...
Yeah, they're better off without each other, that's for sure.
Hard to take sides and just say
Yeah,
they're better off without each other.
I definitely don't think it was a good, relationship in general. Working on finishing up the Bakunin box from Jay. I cleaned up a bunch of them earlier just today. I just need to move it. Sweet. I'd love to hear that, buddy. Wilmar says hi.
Hey Wilmar, how's it going? I'm trying to be part of the stream, but my dog's not having it.
Hey Wilmar, how do you feel about playing Malifaux at Squablin on Wednesday? Because I'm feeling real nice. I'm gonna treat you real nice. Girl, this beat. I'm liking this. Girl? Bam!
I wish I could hear it.
Okay, so, what we're gonna do? We're gonna do some, like, ad hoc, non-metal metallic. This is a pure white by Chimerix. It's pretty good. When it comes to whites, this one and heavy titanium white by Proacryl, or just their titanium white. I really like the heavy one just because it's a lot more controllable. It doesn't flow quite as watery. I'm game. I'll bring the mat and the bit of terrain I've got, but we may need some more. I'll see what I can bring, bud. I think because me and Kara played it yesterday, and we actually used some MCP terrain where it's just like the redstones and stuff, and it actually looked pretty good. I also have like that old timey theater I got for like Batman stuff. It's not painted yet, but that actually looked really good. The Victorian area is kind of interesting, right? Because you can get a lot of different like looking things that are modern. Like I think the Victorian era is probably when things started looking like they do today. So I think.
Yeah, it started industrialization then.
So I think in a weird way it works out. So in order to do a metallic, you have to really push the contrast. And that's just because of the way metal things look when they get hit by light. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some really watered down, pure, dark Prussian blue. And I'm going to take it, and I'm going to drag where I want the shadows. So just take it and drag it. And all we're trying to do is really soften it on the edges of where the highlights start taking effect. But also we're trying to reduce the distance between the dark point and the high point by adding more dark points, if that makes sense. It's kind of hard to understand without actually doing it, but what you're trying to do is you have to reduce the mid area between the highlight area and the dark area, and when that is a really the shorter that distance is, the more metallic it's going to look. So if you don't want that, you want something that's like more cloth, you could have a big midsection. And when you do that, it makes it look like it's made of a different texture. And what you're doing right, and if you're doing this with me, or on something similar, what we're doing right now is super subtle. It's probably going to take a couple passes. But I promise it'll look cool when we're done. I promise. Some people in there are probably like, well, I think Dylan's lost his mind. He doesn't know what he's doing anymore. I assure you, it'll all make sense. And the cool thing that happens when you're doing this with like a glaze as opposed to like a heavy paint is that you are going to reduce the mid area, but because you have a gradient already established, that gradient it'll kind of like be an evenly applied change in color, which essentially means that it still will look good and not like you just didn't paint it correctly, if that makes sense. I'm not a word scientist. I don't speak good. I need to go to Zoolander's school for kids who can't read good. So like that's a good example. So right there, we're just trying to make that high point and that low point get so much closer. And when we do that, it will make it look more shiny. Now again, this is going to be the difference. So this is the one that hasn't been shaded. This is the one that has been shaded. You notice how it got darker. But it still doesn't look like it was highlighted badly. Which will make more sense once we get to the next.
That's obvious.
So obvious right now. So hot right now. Another Zoolander reference. Probably one of Will Ferrell's best roles.
I think Will Ferrell's best work was what he did with his toddler.
Oh,
for
yeah,
YouTube.
Pearl. I think his daughter's name is Pearl, actually.
I think his daughter's name is Pearl, or they call her Pearl because she's supposed to be his landlord and that stuff. That shit was so fucking funny. And people were just like, how dare you have your child that tiny cursing on YouTube? Blah, blah. Like, fuck you, he's a comedian. You think that kid hears him, like, ever control his mouth? And forget it if you let your kids play anything, like, online.
Well, Farrell has never stricken me as a comedian that relies on profanity a lot.
Yeah. But I like to think of him as, like, poopy humor.
Yeah, it's definitely poopy humor, but he doesn't like scream profanities like a lot of comedians do.
But his daughter was in those videos.
Yeah, she was very angry that she did not get the money. Where's my money? She was gonna spend it on booze, I think.
Yeah, she wanted beer. Which was also another thing that lots of advocates had issues with. People get so worried about how other people raise their kids, it's weird.
Well, the good news is he makes enough money where she could probably get a good therapist.
Yep, there you go.
He's thinking ahead. Okay, so next. This is the last step. So as you can see, the high point and the low point are fairly close to each other. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take that white. Again, like I said, we're using chimerics. The white. Just put a little out. I'm not gonna need a whole lot of this. White's a pretty powerful color. It's probably way more than we'll ever need. Painting like Caro over here. So we take that white, and we're going to use mostly pure white on this. So I'm going to put it, make myself a little puddle here. I'm going to take just a little bit of that previous blue, and we're just going to tinge it, just so that it doesn't look like pure white on it, because that would make it look kind of weird. And as you can see from the color there, this is the difference between the highest point, and then this was the one that we were doing before, and then this is the dark point. So there's a pretty stark differences in color. So we're going to take that high point, and we're going to essentially edge highlight with this, because metals reflect mostly off corners because they're sharp. And in this case, because R2 is so small, you don't have to worry about big panels or anything. So it's mostly just going to be edge highlights. And then when it comes to the little squares, you're just going to stipple. Just a tiny little bit. Just the tiniest little bit of white. So boop, boop. And it's going to give it like a reflective type quality. You want to be real sparing with this because it's very powerful. And with great power comes great responsibility. That's what Magneto always says.
How dare you say that's Magneto?
Who's up there? Let's Starting to look real good. And anyone that cares probably end the stream like 8:30, something like that. Unless we're really cooking. Or Wilmar pays me like $50. I'll keep going then. But only then.
You started talking about people paying you and we lost 2 viewers.
You know, the road to being a sellout. Long and hard. But then we went back up. See? Look.
No, we had 9 and it went down to 7.
Yeah, well, we had 9 and now we got 7. And these are the quality people.
I like anybody who's in here. I'm just saying, you should watch your mouth.
Watch my mouth. Is he gonna do a trick? Okay. So there we go. Fine. Maybe next time, Wilmer. Boom! Look at that. It's starting to look shiny. Shiny R2. So now, I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side, but now I'm going to take some of that pure white. Now this is where Dylan actually loses his mind. Okay? So hang on to your butts. You hanging on? I hope so, because here we go. So I'm going to take that pure white, and we're going to go up to the upper corner where the sun is going to hit it directly, and we're going to just give it just the briefest of little taps. And this one you're only going to do on things that are pretty much like directly facing the light. Yeah, I can hear you right now. You're just like, wow, Dylan, you have lost your marbles. What are you doing with that pure white, Dylan? I'll tell you, disembodied voice. I'm pushing that contrast. I'm pushing it. Pushing it real good. So I did it on this leg, but I'm not going to do it on the other leg because it doesn't have the direct light. And when you put that pure white on there, it makes it look super shiny. But again, you got to be real careful about putting too much on there because it will lose that effect. Now this one's a little different because that little bottom ring thing is a little different. So this one I'm actually going to put a little bit around the whole thing, just like little dabs to make it look like lines, to make it look like sunlight is like reflecting off of it. And that helps kind of keep it consistent across the entire thing. If you're sitting here watching this, there are people that pay like fancy other much better painters than me like hundreds of dollars to teach them how to do this. And I just taught you in 15 seconds in a Twitch that only 8 people are watching. I did it. I did it, Dad. I hope I made you proud.
My God, son, so proud of you. So proud.
Thanks, Dad. I can hear him now. It's like he's here. So, boom. That's how you do it. Nice metallic-y white. Watching Kara spill paint and throw her models all over the ground. Ruining brushes. Blammo! Look at that. That's the good stuff right there. I love it. Love it! Alright, so going back to that previous white-blue mix thing. Doing the exact same thing. Just picking out those high points just to give it the idea of being a reflective surface because it's made of metal. Because R2 is in fact a robot. I don't know if you knew that or not. He is a robot. With robot needs.
Like to stick that little swirly thing into holes and open doors.
Yeah, like his weird little appendage thing. Yeah, I don't know if that's a need.
Other things that have those kind of appendages always seem to need to stick them in things.
Sure.
I get the impression that R2's need is to help everybody.
He is a helpful little guy. Although you say that, but he's never had his memory wiped. That's like his character thing. Like even C-3PO's had his brain wiped. That's why he doesn't really remember Annie and all that, right?
Right.
R2D2 has never been brain wiped. This robot is like the acclamation of everything that has happened in the galaxy.
Yeah, he's the true leader of the revolution.
For sure. And he never told Luke that Annie was his, or that Darth Vader was his dad.
Yeah, he never
tells him
let that out.
Maybe he didn't know. I doubt it. I doubt that he didn't know. But he didn't tell him that. What else did he not do? He didn't say anything about where Luke's whereabouts were to Rey.
Yeah.
He actually just shut himself down. He wasn't even being helpful. Like he didn't even wash the dishes. He just turned his little butt off and just sat there like a jerk. No, R2. That's a different Disney IP. Give me a second. Didn't Bail Oriana have them both memory wiped at the end of Revenge of the Sith? I'll see myself out. I don't think. Did he?
I'll be honest, I'm not like that up on my Star Wars lore anymore. That was probably the IP I paid attention to in high school.
Well, if he did, I didn't know that. And it clears some things up, I guess. Unless that was dubbed in. Who knows? I don't know who knows. I bet Jesse would know.
Jesse would know.
Yes. They'll be both went there. Well, hopefully we're going to get a big rush of Star Wars fans here momentarily, so maybe they might be able to tell us.
Has anybody seen that new Lego set with the Eye of Sauron? Oh my god.
Barad-dûr. I want that for my office.
That is the coolest Lego thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's
I think
pretty
you
sick.
should make Jesse build it for you.
Why would I make him build it for me?
Because he makes you paint for him. And that looks like not fun to build to me.
What are you talking about? It looks like a blast. That's half the point of getting a Lego is building it.
No, I don't like building Legos. I just like seeing them built.
Well then why? Well then you don't worry about it. It's not for you. It's for children like me.
Okay, okay. I'm not trying to take any happiness from you.
It's too late. The darkness is setting in. Take some of that pure white. And we're gonna go to that corner. We're gonna be like, boom! Blammo! Bang! Kaboom! Boom! Kaplam!
Are you the Emerald of painting?
I am. I'm the Earl of Sandwich. Painting sandwich. People are going to walk by the table that Jesse's using this thing on, and people are going to be like, my eyes, they burn. That model is so shiny. Please. Help me. I can't see. I'll never see my family again. And then Jesse will laugh at him. Because he's cruel.
They're all gonna laugh at you.
Once you build it, you can prime and paint it on stream. Oh boy, I think it's like a 4,000 piece Lego. It's like
$400 or $500. Hey, Buzz Fury Finest.
Oh, I think I know
We
who that
have
is.
questions that you could probably answer. We were just asking, like, some serious Star Wars lore questions.
How many Ewoks does it take to screw in a light bulb? See if he's actually paying attention. If we establish that Jesse's actually there, then we can ask him the big question. Trick question. Okay.
I haven't done the highlight.
Okay, so this is what
About
Kara's
her
painting.
skin.
We're looking at Kara's
Yes.
skin job here. So, what's the question? You want to highlight it?
Oh, I haven't gotten to the highlights yet, so I just kind of wanted your opinion on where it is now.
I think it looks fine. I think you are scared to not leave some dark parts.
That's true.
Like
I am.
underneath this arm, I probably would have left it a little darker.
Okay.
Enough. Okay, so Jesse, yeah, last question quick. Did it's in the chat. Did Bail Orion, I don't think that's the name, it's Ortega or whatever the stupid name is. But did was R2D2's memory wiped at the end of Revenge of the Sith? Or is he still like completely and totally never been mind wiped? No, that's what I thought. Okay. I was right. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
I was right. All right, cool. So there you go.
You are the ultimate Star Wars knowledge.
Jesse
Thanks,
likes to
Jesse.
think he thinks I'm a Star Wars fan. I just know all the lore and don't think about it that hard. Anyway, but yeah, I probably would have left a little of the darker spots. Not a huge deal. It just makes it's just gonna make her look paler. He probably did like the old some kind of juke, Wilmar. He was like, "All right, we're gonna get you," and then the Benny Hill music started, and he started rolling down the hallway. And they're like, "Oh no, we can't get him. He's too fast, that wily R2. He's too fast. He's outsmarted us again." So R2D2 is the actual hero of Star Wars. The Force is strong with him. And there you go. That's a shiny looking R2 right there. Blammo. He's R2ing all over the spaceship. Oh, somebody get him. It's going to make this floor slippery. No. He's R2ing. Alright, looking at the reference picture. The bar to R2 statue in the folder is the best reference. Okay, so R2's, I guess you call his eyeball, I guess, is black. And then he has a red light right there, and that bottom one. So, like, this one is black, and then the one right there is going to be red. And then the actual, like, little mobile eyeball thing is also going to be black. I think. Because I guess this one doesn't actually have to technically even be red, because I guess this is the one that would change colors based on what he was trying to tell people when he was communicating. I think a little red there is good, though. I think it looks cool. Be a good way to kind of break it up. Quite honestly, like we're almost kind of just done. Like that's R2, really. Like the hard part's over. Changes between red and light sky. Yep, for sure. R2 and C-3PO are the narrators and caretakers of the fairy tale storybook. I assume they will never leave Star Wars. You would certainly hope so, but didn't C-3PO have his brain wiped and he was like, "I am so glad to be surrounded by my friends," and everybody around him was like, "We hate you." Wasn't that like a thing that happened? In a case of not very good storytelling? So, oh, the wire. So, oh, those little wire. Oh, those are wires. I guess you're right. On his little feet. Is that it? Is it just the wires on the front? It's just these guys right here? Like a copper color? I guess I can just do that right now. R2 statue. Yeah, it's like a copper. Just gonna use some pure copper from
Is Ernie still here?
Ernie.
Hey, Ernie.
Ernie comes
What's
with
the other website besides Built in Boston? There's two here, and I always forget the name of the other one.
Now, instead of just painting a straight up metallic on the spot that we're going to paint, because that's boring and it actually makes it look kind of bad, what we're going to do is we're going to use some dark brown. We're going to use Rhinox Hide. This one. Very, very dark brown. Just so we get lots of contrast. Right there, right there. Make ourselves a little mix. We're not going to need a lot of this, thankfully. Because I think it is literally just his feet.
One of Ricky's friends says he's been applying to jobs for 2 months and he's gotten 0 responses. And I said, use my address. And he said, seriously, that's it? I was like, yeah, pretty much.
What about the address?
Because companies, when you have an address in another state, city, whatever, they're usually like, oh, that's too much trouble to deal with.
I get it. Okay, I see what you're saying. Oh, because he was applying to jobs up here. Right. Did he start getting responses?
No, I just told him to use my address.
Gotcha. Okay. It looks like a very dingy copper, so we're just gonna use a little bit of the pure color here, just to kind of give it a little bit of a shine, just to kind of illustrate that it is a copper. Not a whole lot we can do with this. It's literally just like a tiny copper wire, so I guess.
When does he have that drink service attached to him? That's cute.
Episode 6, because when he's on Jabba's skiff.
Ah, right. Yeah.
Because that's the one thing Star Wars did for me, is it made me an alcoholic.
I suppose that's fair.
Okay, so what I am going to do is I'm going to finish the R2, or I guess I could, I'll just do the lights at the same time. So let's do that right now. So, black. Hi, Bubby. We need black, which I will use the Chimerics black, which is right here. I like this black, it's nice and thick. Carbon black, pretty good. It's kind of it's very satiny, which is cool. And thankfully, we're not actually painting something black. It's literally just like a black light bulb, or not a light bulb, but like a lens. So there's really not a whole lot of work we got to do for this. At this point, it's mostly just like these little detail things, which is like a lot of effects, but not like a full, what you would consider like a classic paint job. He has a light on his back too by his second scope. Yeah, I was looking at that too. Do you want that a certain color? Because I was looking at the pictures and it was like blue. It was like a light blue. You want that one to be red too, just to make it break out from the blue panel thing surrounding it. So we're just taking some pure black, and we're getting his like little main eyeball. And we're gonna get the inside of that little lens for his little peeper eyeball. I still want to use this for the changing room. Black. So when it comes to reflective surfaces, if they're black, I like to use blue because it helps it stick out. I don't really like using gray because it looks boring. So I'm gonna use a little bit of rust gray to start with like the light reflection off of the lens, and we're just gonna work towards like whatever. Okay, maybe we're not gonna use that color. That looks mighty bad. This paint pot might be lost hope. I'm not so sure about that one. Let's see if we can do an audible here. Maybe the Fang. Let's try the Fang. Still like a dark blue. Gray, darkish blue. Don't need a lot of it. And what we're going to do is we're just going to pick it out. So when you think about how this lens thing is shaped, it's what they call like convex, in that it's like sticking outwards, like a little bit of a dome with the eyeball. So you just paint it like it's the case. So you're going to paint on the upper, in this case, right-hand part of it, because that's the part the light is going to hit, just to give it a little bit of depth. And then with the lens on the inside, I'm just going to give it a little poke, just to show that it's not just only black. You could just talk in chat, Jesse. Or we could do the red light on the front for both and skylight on the back for both. Well, I mean, we could do the blue for either one. It doesn't really matter, but like the panel itself is blue. I just think it'll stand out more if it's black. But I mean, whatever, man. It's your model. You do whatever you want. So these little panels by his feet are silver. Is that a thing? Because a lot of the pictures don't show the side. At least the one that shows the side of the foot, it's still white, so it's not those. So what's silver? Okay, you're gonna have to tell me which one of those things you want painted silver on the feet, because the things I'm looking at, it looks like it's all white. We're still working on this thing. Okay, so we're gonna add a little bit of the white to this blue. Not a lot, just enough to kind of change the color. This is a very tiny surface, so I'm actually gonna pull out a very, very sharp brush. That's very, very curved. It was not, it wasn't sitting in my thing very well. So we're just going to take it, and we're going to hit the upper left-hand corner. Again, just to give it a little bit of depth. Start to see it. Okay, now we're going to use a little pure white, and this is going to be the most important part to make it look like a reflective surface. We're going to put like a little crescent in the upper left-hand corner of it, and then I'm going to put a couple dots on the opposite side to make it look like a light reflection. So crescent, and then some dots. Like that. And as you can see, it looks like a lens. Hooray! Just gotta make sure you got a nice sharp brush for that. Otherwise it won't look right. Boom. There you go. That's how you do that. We're just blowing through this real fast. Okay, so we're gonna do a red light. Now it's an orange light, I think. Yeah, it's like sky blue. I guess, honestly, the kind of red doesn't really matter a whole lot. It's not gonna have much in the way of something like OSL, so it can probably be pretty mute. But it does mean that we have to make sure that we use some white to give it a reflective surface. Yeah, yes, it is, Jesse. It's the exact same as when you're painting like a gem. So Mephiston red is what we're going to use for his little light. And this one I may not be able to show you all that well because I want to make sure I don't mess this up. I'm just going to take it, give it a little bloop. It's back. Dot. The red dot. Okay, so similar train of thought. We're gonna take a white, and this time I'm actually gonna hit the little lens too with the little nipple eyeball thing, whatever the heck this thing is. And I'm just gonna see if I get a little dot in there anywhere just to make it look like it's a reflective light, like a reflective lens. It doesn't have to be precise. Yeah, there you go. Boom. Just a dot, just to give it a little bit of like an impression that there's actually something there. And then, I'll do it on the other one. I want to make sure that red is nice and dry. Light reflection right there. So, yeah, Jesse, what parts of his feet down here are metallic? Or silver? I guess that little bar thing with the blue, I guess this is. Like, this thing's silver. And I guess oh my gosh, these little things are. Okay, yeah, I got that. Got the inside of that. That is silver. Which this one doesn't even have that, which is irritating. The bottom left. It's not the grill, but it's this like little square thing. Where's the whole thing? Okay. Okay. Irritating, but fine. Alright, we're gonna pick a white, and we're gonna put a light reflection on the red light. So there you go. Make it look like a light. Blam. There you go. Boop. Boop. Sweet. Alright, so I'm going to pick out some of these silver spots. So I'm using scale 75 silver, which is, I think, or trash. It's trash silver. Or trash metal is the dark one. And I mix in some black to give it a little more depth so that it doesn't look flat, which is very easy with metallics if you're not careful. So I guess this thing is I mean, you'd hate to get this up to a table and then have the other person be like, well, actually, just so you know, that silver panel is right there. It's almost as bad as Napoleonic players and their buttons. Almost. So that's silver. That's silver. Okay, this is silver. This little bar thing by where the blue is. So something I've learned about painting silver is that if you paint silver like it was non-metallic silver, it will look better. Which, who would have thought? And especially when we start adding in a little bit of weathering, because R2D2 is usually always on a little bit on the beaten up side, it'll really blend it all in pretty well. Jesse enjoys weathering. He just thinks it's neat. Hi, Mario. Well, Mario can just talk. I mean, I'm not gonna bite him. Hello in Japan, buddy. Hope everything's been good on your end. He's watching a guest without a Twitch account. He's on the Discord. Oh, okay. Well, whatever. Always good to hear from Mario. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Kara hears me talk about Mario, and the alcohol comes out. He knows. She knows. Oh, she knows. She knows, Mario. She knows. Whenever I start talking about you, and the fact that, you know, I don't get to talk to you as much as I used to. I gotta go to the bar, and I just drink it out. Oh, there's a bar, and I'm closing it down. No, they apparently if you sing badly, you don't have to worry about it. So I'll be fine. Okay. So that metal's been laid down. I'm not really gonna worry about the ones that are on the little copper wires because it doesn't actually look like it's sticking out at all. It just looks like there's wires, so I think that's okay. So then we're gonna use the pure color, and we're just gonna highlight it up a little bit. I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of time on this because it's really not that big. And again, I think a lot of this is going to get pretty weathered, and the weathering itself will kind of provide a good difference in like values where it'll look like it got highlighted, and we won't tell Jesse. Just it'll be our little secret. If he finds out, I'll knock his trash can if he says anything. And there's not a gosh darn thing you can do about it. What do we got? Ah, Jesse's a subscriber. You know what? Never mind. I'm not gonna knock. You know, that's a good clip. I'm not gonna knock over his trash can. But if you haven't subscribed, I will come to your house and I will knock over your trash can. Thanks, Jesse. Anybody that's curious, I will be here most Sundays. Most Sundays isn't the guaranteed day. Monday, I will definitely be here at, what, 7:30 to, like, 10, 10:30, something like that, whatever. If I start a little late, it's purely because Boston traffic is a real butt sometimes. Alright, so there you go. I'm not going to do much else for those silvers because of just how small they are. I think it would just kind of be a wasted effort because I am going to weather him up a little bit. Because we're going to rub dirt into the bottom part of his base. And anything, I might not use like the same colored dirt as it. I might just use some typhus corrosion kind of like almost over the entire model in a lot of ways. Just because he gets a lot of like accumulated crud over the years of him being alive, you know, I guess. I don't know if you count a droid as being alive per se, but there you go. He's watching, but not forget. What else am I missing? I swear I'm missing something here. Is that it, Jesse? I think the paint job's done on the droids. Oh well, other than the bar thing, but just like on C-3PO himself. You're doing the silver. Oh, that's right. Right. Yeah, the actual like the drink thing. So the arm thing itself is silver. The bar part is gold. Okay. For some reason, my brain registered that all as gold. Okay, no, you're absolutely right. Yeah, good call, Missy. So we're gonna do that right now. Even the tube is silver? Seems kind of lame. Yeah, I guess that little pipe thing is just silver. Do you wanna paint that a different color? Like that's this thing right here. This tube. That's like perfect for something like a red or something. There's one blue part. Yeah, I saw that in the picture, but it's like one of the hydraulic bars. Yeah, that's the one I was looking at. It looks like one of the extending like pneumatic arms on the thing.
I think that metallic I just put down there is what you need for the bar.
No, thanks. 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 No is another one of my brushes that's a little more worn, just a little more tired. Yeah, but other than that, I think that's it, Jesse, right?
R2's like painted. He's got the blue, and he's got the silver parts on there, and then after that, it's just all the little extra bits. Like the droid itself, I think is done. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. I guess that thing right there is the blue. Yeah, that's the blue. Or the blue. Oh, and then the top of his little... Yeah, the top of his little head is blue, too. The thing where the arm comes out. Yeah, I got If I was a good Twitch streamer, I could tell you about, like, things that happened in the movies or whatever. But, that's not me. I don't know these things. I only watch movies. I just have a weird ability to watch a movie once and remember a lot of really weird, stupid details.
Or read a book, or read rules.
I do read a lot of rules, yeah.
Ooh, 4 Shatterpoint models done. Good job.
Glad you're live streaming because I won't wolves. I got 4 shatter. Good job, Dennis. I'm assuming this is the Dennis.
He said he's painting for Jesse, so does that help?
Dennis is the other person that paints for Jesse.
Yeah, Jesse's got like a whole community.
We're called a harem.
The original code is harem.
Your dog is sprawled out on this rug over here, just a licking. I mean, it's kind of sexual. It's inappropriate.
Sounds terrible.
I think you finished your dinner. I don't think licking the rug is gonna make more dinner appear.
Oh, that's fun. Did you... what else is in the Mando box? It's Mando, IG, Carl Weathers? Is that it? Is it just 3? Yeah, okay, right. Grief Karga. It is funny that they did make a model for the lady
that got Disney blacklisted. Single model. So yeah, right, that makes sense. Which I'm sure has like its ups and downs, right? I'm assuming it's better, but you don't have as much board coverage, I can imagine. Yeah, I bet he was. I bet he was one color. I think this R2's done. Other than the griming up and all that. Sure as sunshine. I think this one's done.
I think it looks mighty nice.
Yeah.
Dr. D.
We're gonna trash him up a little bit, but I think he's done. So yeah, then we just gotta focus on this thing. So gold. We're gonna use a little bit of that old Necro gold.
One I pulled out is such a perfect bronzy color, and then if you do a little wash on it, I think I
already
don't
have
know.
it right there.
I think gotta do that color.
That's way too bright. I'm gonna use it. It's just not the base color. I don't think you're wrong.
Okay,
I'm just
okay,
not using it as a
okay.
base color.
Okay.
Alright, so
I'll shut up now.
you don't have to shut up, Carrie. Just stop talking. Jesus.
Put me in my place, sir.
Alright, so just start hitting this with the silver color. We're on the opulent side. Come on, focus. Focus! And it gets a double shot every turn, but obviously it's only one. Yep, right, makes sense. Paint bandoliers, guns, main body, lots of sepia, sep for rust, and paint. Yep, and base, yeah. It must be nice to to get the easy ones every once in a while. I'll tell you right now, I'm really not looking forward to these Ewoks. Every time I look at them, I just like, oh my god, this is gonna be so much friggin' work. Second Eden box. That must be a Star Wars reference I don't get. I don't get that reference. I don't know who Eden is. Again, a lot of that Star Wars stuff is lost on me. Imperial Special Forces. Okay. Is that the like Inferno squad box? Is that who that is?
When I was in Amsterdam last January, and I took this picture of all these beautiful Belgian waffles with like different frostings and macaroons on them. I was not hungry and I did not want one. But ever since I've come home and look at this picture, every time it pops up on here, I'm like, man, I could really go for one of those right now.
Eden, Versio, Imperial Special Forces. That's Inferno Squad, right? That was the chick from the Battlefront games. I'll tell you right now, if 2 Juggernauts show up at my house, I'm just gonna move. I'm not even gonna throw them away. I'm just gonna leave them on the front porch. I'm just gonna leave. Don't ever contact me or my son ever again.
Yeah, if any more Shatterpoint shows up at our house, it's gonna disappear.
It's been a long road, that's for sure.
You gotta learn those boundaries, Dennis.
That's what I keep trying. It's Marvel. I know it's Marvel. Did I say Star? No, I didn't. I didn't say Star Wars.
Whoa! Shatterpoint. That's me. I'm not as up on IPs. Sorry. And I'm not sure that makes me a nerd because I didn't know.
I just said that if it showed up, I was going to move away.
Talk to them about my pretty moon man.
It's not done. So, she did all the things that we talked about last week with the whites. And as you can see, it has depth. Look at that. Yay!
As opposed
shade.
to...
Yeah, and then this was her paint scheme beforehand.
Didn't look very nice.
I didn't like it from the
shading.
beginning. She pitched the idea to me, and I was like, "This does not sound good, but you do what you got to do." And and she refused to listen to me, and then she didn't like it.
I didn't like it. He was right. I should have listened to Dr. D.
And then she did like a Starfield thing for the visor.
Reflection.
Yeah.
I think it needs like a glaze over the pure white, maybe, to lighten the star reflection.
I'll be honest, I have no idea how to do what you're trying to do.
It's a fun experiment.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It was a cool thing to try.
It reminds me of the time I painted stuff and then the shading didn't work out quite the way I wanted it, and I covered it with some contrast, and that worked out okay. It was one of the things that I painted for Batman. You didn't think it looked good. I thought it looked okay.
Well, thankfully for you and most other people involved, they never judge people on what they actually do. I'm more judgy that people paint at all as opposed to what they do.
So you think I should paint all of this black and then dry brush it? The base.
That's what I would do, but you could just wash it a billion times or something. Whatever you want to do. That'll be the easy way to do it, but I don't think you'll get as much depth out of it.
Yeah, no, I like dry brushing. I think I'd rather dry brush.
So I would just paint. So when you do the paint, the black for the net gun and all that, just also paint that, which is what I do with all them.
Yeah.
Oh, how was it? Wilmar, was it any good? Also, Dennis, yeah, I had to threaten it to him too. Well, mine wasn't a threat. Mine was real. In that,
real boundaries.
Yeah, there's definitely there's got to be less stuff in my house, just in general. Not even just a Jesse thing, just like everybody
If we
involved.
get to move to, where is it Jesse lives? What state? Nebraska? Oklahoma. If we could live in Oklahoma and pay what we pay for housing, we could have a mansion. And Jesse could send you as much as he wanted, but unfortunately we live in Boston. And we barely have enough room for ourselves.
Yeah, space is a premium here. I have been selling literally everything I can get my hands on.
Dylan does a really good job selling stuff. He tried to sell Malifaux, but every time he said it, I was like, don't sell Malifaux, you love it too much. And I'm glad, because now I love Malifaux.
Lols. Shatterpoint is Ampus 5 months ago, and it's still not done. Tulsa, Oklahoma. It was good. Did a good job at getting you set up with a scenario and letting you have a go at it. So what was the scenario? Like it's like a Japanese monster hunter game, right?
Hey, mute your microphone. Let's have a sidebar real quick. All done.
What am I doing here? So we're gonna do silver on the squirt gun. So now we're just gonna go towards the light, which is upright. So just start putting the silver where it belongs. good. Post-apocalyptic. Feudal Japan. The first scenario we played had an abandoned farm, and the Oni were patrolling around their campfire. We had to sneak in to find clues to find the boss. On turn 2, we accidentally got spotted, and the Oni raised the alarm on us, so they swarmed us. So like, so the Oni have like a little established society kind of thing, like a Mongolian horde kind of thing. And I'm assuming post-apocalyptic in like the Doom sense, where like demons came up and killed everybody. And now we're going to go up to the higher silver, which is, I think it's called speed metal. And again, we're just kind of highlighting up here.
Hey, Jesse, you sent like a million things 5 months ago, and a million things leading up to that stuff 5 months ago.
Yeah, demons from who knows where, but yeah, they have some kind of hierarchy going on. We almost lost our character members. So is it like an RPG where you're playing like already established characters, or is it like, is it an RPG in that you make a dude, give him a name, yada yada, they're like, oh, this is the hunter archetype, and then you just level up and stuff like that? Because that seems to be something that Blacksite Studios loves, is like they're like leveling up systems where everything is just goofy, which I personally love. That's the kind of game I like. Narrative and Infinity. I do like Infinity. So you were there. So you were at the camp to like kill a specific demon, and they discovered you. I think I'm happy with that. So now, I'm going to take some of that dark blue. Again, we're going to really water it down. And what this is going to do is it's really going to help that blue look like a shiny metallic. And again, we're going to put this in the dark spots. And it will hopefully touch a little bit of the higher points, and it will give it like that kind of reflective sheen to it. And I think this is what makes the difference between a good true metallic and a bad one, is if there is the added depth from something kind of like a dark blue or whatever. In which case, we're going to do it a little bit differently on the C3PO here in a second, because we're going to be using greens because of the basing that we're going to do. But for this one, we're just going to use blue, because blue makes metal look shinier. Thank you, Dennis. Yeah, it'd be great if I could keep him in focus. This is why I get paid the mediocre bucks. I am job switching here soon, so I'll have a lot of time to paint. So hopefully I'll be able to finish a lot of stuff in the meantime. I'm gonna be busier during my funcation, a little busier than I thought I was going to be, but I think it's gonna turn out okay. Okay, so now what we're gonna do for this gold. Now, painting gold, you could go about it a lot of different ways. I really love washing. I'm not a big washer, right? I don't regularly bathe. It's something that I've kind of given up on, as everybody who knows me can kind of tell you. I stink. I'm a stinky boy. No, but for real though. What I really like to do with golds is washing them with a green, because it gives it this like aged look. Which going pro Street Fighter 6. Yeah, I hope I get to play Street Fighter 6 on my break. But a lot of it is gonna be me going to the new job and getting some like extra time in, so the patients like me. And I'm going to Florida for a Infinity event, and I will.
Dogfinity.
And I will be doing a little bit of coverage for the old place, just to make sure I keep paying my retirement stuff, because I don't want to lose it. I don't want to lose investment. Any investments. So I throw a couple $100 in like the stock market every
Who's
month.
the one below?
That's Tizzy.
Oh. His name used to look more like it had Tizzy in it.
It used to be Adept to Tizzy, but it's a long joke that I'll tell you when other people are around. Or he could tell you. Do you want to tell her, Tizzy?
Tell me in the chat, Tizzy. Although maybe you should tell me on a podcast, because I do like your voice.
See? There are 3 schools with 3 classes each, and yeah, this one has a progression tree for each class. You can customize your hunt. Yep, that's cool. I love that idea. The campsite had clues to where we could find the boss, and if you're well enough, it will appear in the scenario, or like what happened to us, it became the next fight we had to restart up. Okay, so essentially, you're chasing after the boss. That's cool.
What game is this?
I think it's pronounced Hamateratsu is how you say it. It's the same people that make Lunar. It's like a Japanese demon hunting game. I don't know if it came out.
Loki's also excited about
Yeah, I
it.
hear that. He must be an Oni.
Thor is crawling in the bed and literally like pushing Loki out.
This is mine now.
Now Loki's gonna go hump the other bed because he's pissed. Get out of my bed. To be fair, Thor, Loki did pee on it.
Yeah, I actually would be willing to try that out next time you play it one more. I actually really do want to try it. Anyway, so I washed it with some Corellia green shade, which actually isn't my green wash of choice. I think a Thonian camo shade is probably better, but this does the same kind of basic concept. As you can see, it makes that gold look way more aged, which I think gives it a lot of depth that I really like, and it makes it a lot more interesting to look at. So if you're ever curious about why your golds don't look great, I would actually wash them with green, which might seem kind of counterintuitive, but do what I say or don't. I don't really care. It's fine. You do you, bud. Just kind of like do whatever you want, you know? Hi, Bubby. Oh, did he put you out of bed? I'm sorry, buddy. All right, so now what I recommend you do is you take Elven Gold, which is the next gold up from scale 75. It's a much greener gold. Actually, I guess maybe we do use the copper first. Maybe we do that. Yeah, let's try that. So let's take some of this copper that we were using before. Because I think, at least from the artwork, it's a little bit more on the copper side than it is just pure gold. So take some of that old gold, give it a little mix. We're looking for something kind of in the middle. That's not too bad. And then we'll highlight it with some speed, with the really shiny gold. Make sure it's nice and watery, just to give it some transparentness. Now, if it's super watery, what I would say is on the top, because on the top it has this like texture of holes in it and stuff. Don't use it when it's super watery there, because it'll just run into the cracks. While it's like this, I would just get the edges and the easier areas to highlight. And then what I would do is I would make sure you get all the liquid out of it, and then just kind of give it a dry brush on top, just to give it as much depth as possible. So I'm going to try and get all the liquid out. I'm just going to ride it on the top, nice and gentle.
Did you load this?
Yeah, I already did. Do not fear, arachnids. The next episode of Arachne has been uploaded. It's not. It'll be out tomorrow, but I did not forget to upload it. Which I might have done once before. You're not paid. Do you want to play some tonight, Tizzy? Are you available? We could probably play after the stream. We'll go to Pone City. I'm probably gonna play regardless, because after painting as much as I have today, I need a break. I've been a painty boy all day. Finishes terrain. What terrain are you painting, buddy? You doing stuff for yourself, or are you doing it for Adepticon? So there are blue spots on his back. Of the bar top and his arm. Yeah, I know which part's blue. I haven't got to that part yet, but what about the bar thing? It's like a solid color. Yeah, you're painting stuff for Adepticon. Although I guess on some level, it's one and the same. Like what's yours and what's Adepticon's in a lot of ways. Well, keep doing the Lord's work. It just means I got more practice on classic control scheme when we play. If you're sending me a picture of the bar thing, I don't know if you're trying to tell me that I'm doing something wrong, Jesse, but I don't know what it is that you want me to do different. It's essentially just all gold. And I gotta make it easier. Well, right. It's just like an old looking gold. Okay. All right. As long as I'm doing the right thing. And I got to go back and paint some of the spots on the back of these guys because I guess I didn't paint some of the blue spots. I'm getting Jesse'd, Kara. He's Jesseing me. Yeah, I'm getting cyberbullied right now. Yeah. No. Want to sick him? He can tell you where to put those shadow point models. Put those point models and put them up your butthole.
If I'd have known it was Shatterpoint, I'd have rejected delivery.
There's a lot of hostility in my house.
Only about Shatterpoint.
That's fair. Alright, so now we're taking some of that elven gold and we mixed it in with the previous color. And we're just kind of... I don't want to say dry brushing, but we're definitely painting it dry brushingly over some surfaces, just to kind of give it the sheen. Hey Wilmar, what about you? You want to play Street Fighter? Even though I'm pretty sure you don't have it. Bison! There was a reveal for Bison. He's going to be the next character. Yes! Yes! Charles does what? Plays? Or he wants to play? Is that what he said? I mean, I'm down. Oh, sweet. It's on sale? Oh, that's right. It was on sale. It literally went on sale the day after I bought it. Literally, I bought it and it went on sale the next day. I do remember this. Like, that's the kind of luck I got. I don't know how it's his fault, but I blame Jesse. And, you know, that's kind of how this is going to look. This is how I'd paint it for this bar. We're gonna put some green goo on it just to kind of make it look like there's liquid, but I think for the most part that's what it's gonna look like. I'm gonna go in here with a little bit of like the original dark brown, just to add a little bit of shade to a couple spots, like on top of it, just to make sure that the texture on the top remains. So the shading on this will be a little more on the it'll be like a cool complex side because it'll be greens and it'll be brown, which just gives it lots of little flavor. I don't recommend you try and eat it though. That would be bad. If you do, don't tell them I told you to do it. Because I can't have that on my record right now. I'm trying to buy a business. I can't deal with the legal fees. So please. If you're gonna do a lawsuit, do it on PCN and not me individually, please. You know, actually, this might be the last week that I ever work a full 40 hours a week. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Made it to the top, ladies and ladies. Okay, so. Make this blue. No, it's not the top cut. Okay, so I gotta paint the back sides, so it's this little vent thing. Yeah, the vent one I didn't paint specifically because it didn't look right, but I guess I'll do it like this. I think that was a new sub sound. Thank you for the follow, Lady Pandrosa. Lady Pandrosa, I think is how you say that. Thank you very much. Is that a reference to something? She's not listening, so I guess not. So this vent thing has blue inside the vents, but I don't know if that's gonna work. I guess I can try and do it this way. That's how that's gonna go. And then this thing is blue, I guess. So I guess the one good thing is that these blue things. I'm gonna paint this thing entirely blue. I'm not gonna paint another thing. I'm not a slave. I'm just gonna paint this blue. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think it's coming out really well. So thank you very much. I'm somewhat of a painter myself, some would say. If there's ever any things that you would like to ask Mrs. Lady Pandrosa, if there's ever any questions you might have, I will love to answer them. I'm known to be a painter on occasion. No. How about no, Tizzy? Tizzy's saying I need to strip it and paint it again, but that would mean I paint another Shatterpoint model, so that's straight up not gonna happen. You know what? You're gonna do that. I'm not doing nothing.
Because this ugly moon man, this has gotta be redone. Nobody can function on the moon in those colors, Tizzy.
Yeah, Tizzy. What else you crafted? Crafted?
Crafted a light a long time ago.
They're very similar to the red, the ones that make the wet palette, Red Grass Studio. It's literally like their light, except it's just like the Amazon version of it, so it's like a quarter of the cost. What else have we done? So I was painting these Warlord models. These little World War II guys. These guys are not done. I haven't done the winter part on them yet, so they're going to be covered in snow. But finished these recently. That green comes out really. That is not quite that green. That is much more muted in a way.
Okay, it needs to be a little brighter on it.
Yeah, for sure. We're working on Sonya Crid. This is the original. This is like not even. So I actually have the classic. I have the classic model, but this is like the model that came out like a million years ago, from first edition. So she's probably gonna be something I paint up here fairly soon because I like Sonya. She's really fun to play in the game. Kara keeps throwing it around in my face. I have the original. I think this is the very first Nightmare box from Weird. The Lady J Dead Justice box. So hot right now. Other than that, I don't have anything. Oh, actually, ironically enough, I was fixing up some old models. Here's some Batman stuff I did. These are from the video game. Arkham. I want to say these came out for Arkham Asylum, but it could be Arkham Asylum or Arkham City, because they had a pretty good tie-in with the game, with the miniatures game. And these are some of these models aren't even in the game anymore. These are some of the Jokers, because I played Jokers when they first came out. This is some old paint job. This is old Dylan paint job. So I did that. Here's another one. This is when I was just starting to learn how to do high contrast stuff. So it's kind of funny to like see the stuff I do these days, compared to this. But I could never really get rid of them. I could throw them away, but I'm like, yeah, I could use them for like an RPG or something, you know. Kind of just keep them around. Other than that, I don't think there's anything else at my desk right now that's fully painted. Kara could start picking stuff and bringing it over, but yeah, I just showed those off. Actually, ironically enough, I've been cleaning my house, so I've been selling as much stuff as I possibly can. I found an Alfred for the Batman game too. This was before I knew how to paint my black. So this is how I used to do my blacks. As you can tell, it does not have nearly as much depth. Don't bring all of it, just a couple examples. But I've been painting some Kabuki stuff, the Kabuki stuff from Bushido. I did paint with Fear back then, that's true. So the Kabuki theater stuff came out at last Adepticon. This is like a puppet guy. I painted these not too long ago. Actually, I think I painted these like right after I got back from Adepticon, so it's been like three-ish months, give or take. So a lot of. This is the Kabuki sumo guy who messes with lanterns and stuff. He blows them around and they explode. They didn't paint him Kabuki. I was like, well, he's a Kabuki character. I don't know why they didn't paint him like a Kabuki model. So I went with a little bit more creative liberty with him. And all that's free-handed and stuff. So that was something I was pretty happy with. Here's the guy in charge of it. He's like the ring leader guy. I did blue candlelight on that one. This one, it's okay. It's fine. It's not a big deal. And then this is actually, I hadn't finished this one. This was the last one I was painting before I had to start just doing other stuff. But this is one of the puppets. And this is the model I'm gonna do a non-metal metallic tutorial for on the blog. And I'll also do a little OSL from this little lantern here. So this is another one of those things that's just been kind of sitting around meandering. This one I gotta do. I can't do this one stream because I gotta take pictures of this one. But there's gonna be a lot of gold tutorial on this one. This is Kade. I was experimenting with different shades of like purples and reds on this one. This one came out pretty good, I think. Also free-handed little symbols on gold or silver. Which one's gold or silver? But Kade is very, very much a staple in Silver Moon and Bushido, so I was like, I better do him well because I'm going to use him like all the time. He's really, really good. And he's got a penny. And that penny's actually painted non-metal metallic, so this... that was the first thing I painted non-metal metallic with the new Flame On set. So, like I said, tutorial's coming, it looks pretty good. Oh, yeah, it'll be a gold one. We painted this one a couple weeks ago. I think 2 weeks ago now. This is the Cyberpunk model that we were painting. Came out pretty good. Definitely not the best. Definitely not my best, but it's definitely not my worst by any means. She thinks that this is my best blonde I've ever done, which maybe.
I personally think your blonde.
And this one I specifically was trying to paint as like a platinum yellow, or a platinum blonde. Yeah, this isn't quite strawberry. Yeah, it's definitely platinum, it's not strawberry. Strawberry would be more brown. But, yep, got that. This is something Kara painted, because we've been playing Cyberpunk, so she's been working on improving her paint. She's doing, Contrast Plus, I think is what they call it. So she used Contrast to get the base layer and the shading and all that, and then she came in and did stuff by herself. And I actually didn't have to do it, with our little butterflies, which you're about to see more of these. So, this is the one that I think of as, this is one of the things I painted that put me on the map. This is Akusa from Bushido. He is in fact a monk that is floating on top of a giant turtle.
My favorite model in the house.
It's definitely one of the best things I've ever painted, for sure.
Well, and crafted, because so much artistry.
Yeah, that's fair. And the butterflies are acrylic, they're like for nails. Yeah, we got them on Etsy, but they're supposed to be for like women's nails. I don't know how you would stick it to nails and nothing would stay on, but
I snapped it off the first time I touched it.
I'm talking about on nails.
I know, like, can you imagine me with stuff
Yeah,
on my nails like that? I would break off immediately.
There's no way. Yeah, there's no way it would stay.
There are much more careful women in this world than
And I got to paint some different kinds of birds and stuff, and the lilies, paths. This was actually a really fun paint job. There's definitely times where I'm painting, and at a certain point I'm just like, I really wish this model would end. But this one, I was like, you know what? I've actually legitimately enjoyed every second of this. I got to practice painting bald head, the skin tight haircuts. Otherwise he would just be bald. So I was like, he's a monk, and he probably is like pretty close shaven. Other than that, I love painting the green. The green's one of my favorite colors, especially with the Monument Hobby paint triads. And the turtle itself came out really good. And it was just like a culmination of a lot of the things that I think I've gotten very good at. And it came out in a culmination of this thing. And I think it came out really good.
Have you entered that in any competition?
I should enter this one.
Not
I should have entered this in Ironworld, yeah.
Yep.
I'll enter this guy eventually, but I keep forgetting to put him into anything.
Now that you've broadcasted, you're going to have to put that in order.
That's fine, whatever. I don't win painting contests anyway. I ran a painting contest, and I never even got a vote in it. It's not that I didn't win, I didn't get a vote.
The guy who won was really good.
Yeah, John BW won almost every single time. Fantastic dude, love him. Great painter.
Such, like, not just a painter, a crafter, a true crafter.
I should get him on the podcast.
Yeah? Yeah.
I should get him on Arachne.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what were we doing? Paint. We're painting. We're gonna highlight that blue a little bit. Boop, 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 boop. And we're just highlighting some of the blue. And again, I think a lot of this blue is gonna get a little mismatched up by the weathering that we're going to do on the bottom part of the model, so I'm not really all that worried about it being perfect by any means.
Look at how pretty Dr. Dees
Boop, 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 boop. You never worry about being perfect. I don't. I really don't. Because I think the saying is never let the never let the perfect be the enemy of the good enough, or whatever it is. Where people just sit there and they're like, well, it's not the best I could possibly do. I'm like, brother, I'd rather just be done with this model so I can move to the next one. I have a house filled with models that need to be painted, and I'm not wasting my friggin' time painting a single one of these stupid things. Okay, so now we gotta paint the little blue pneumatic thing on his arm for the bar thing, which is this one right here. So hitting it with that old dark Prussian blue. I told myself no more models. Brother, I've done that about 600 billion times. I know exactly what you're saying. I will say recently I had an epiphany, and I washed my hands. But I had an epiphany where it was like, I just don't want anything else, really. Like, the way I used to do it was like, oh, if I'm going to play a faction, I want to buy literally everything in the faction so that I always have an option to play whatever, because then I get to enjoy it, even if it's bad. And a lot of times when you're playing games, a model can be bad at the beginning when you first use it, but then like they do an errata or whatever, and then it's like OP or whatever, blah blah blah. That's just life. But what I noticed is that the catharticness of having an entire faction painted is finally started to win out over me buying more. Where, like with Bushido, as much as I'm like, man, I'd really like to have young pirates or whatever, because they just did like a fish box. And I'm like, oh, that looks super cool. I don't really want to paint it, or I don't really want to play it, but I would love to paint it. I'm like, no. And I've noticed that the more I just paint the models in the factions I already have, I've noticed that later me really appreciates it. Because like if I go to Adepticon and I want to play my O12, I can just play them. Because most of the things that I would usually use are just painted. But now, if the things that you know that you need are fully painted, you can spend the time on the other stuff that you may not use. And then later on it becomes better, or you want to try out a certain thing, and then, you're at the shop and you just plop everything down that's already painted. It's just kind of like nice to be able to go to my painted area, like my display cabinet, and just be like, yeah, I'm just going to literally take whatever I want. And if all of my models aren't painted, then most of them are. And I've realized that feeling is better than the feeling I get from buying. Not to say that I don't have retail therapy issues. I get it. But I'm just really happy that there was a point where I could finally just be happy with the stuff that I have. And what I've noticed is the unfortunate side effect of it is now, as opposed to getting more than one army for the games I already play, I'm more inclined to feel the hyperfixation to buy models for games I don't play. So like with Malifaux, when I started picking it up again, I was like, I don't need anything for Infinity. There's a lot of armies in Infinity I'd like to play, but I'm like, why do I want to buy it? Because I just want to keep... every single time I step away from O12, I'm like, I just go back. So now, instead of just thinking, oh, I could buy Hawk, or I could buy another Nomad Sectorial, or I could buy this, or that, or Ariadna, or whatever. Now, I'm just like... I don't want to buy another army for Infinity, but now I'm looking at other games, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'd want to buy whatever. Like, what's a good example? Like, if I looked at AOS, I'd be like, yeah, I really want to buy an AOS army. But I don't really want to play AOS. It's a weird situation to be in, but, like, my brain is constantly looking for things to buy. But now that I finally reached the point where I'm okay with just having finished products, or finished projects, as opposed to having a lot of them, it's been very, very helpful. Green goo after the matte varnish, because it is very shiny, so we'll do that later, but I think this R2 is all done. So we just gotta do the base. Alright, so this model will be having just the black, I don't know, paneling. whatever you want to call that, that I've been doing for most of his models. Oh, I guess we gotta weather them too. Yeah, I guess that's technically something we gotta do. But the model itself is done. Now it's just extra stuff. Painted model plus, as they say. And if you guys really want to support me, following here, going to the Patreon and doing the Digital Nomad tier, or even buying something from Monument Hobbies and using the code Professional Casual does actually directly help me out with a lot of stuff, mostly paying for subscriptions for podcasts, mostly, which is more than helpful. So anything helps at this point. Yeah, Digital Nomad. Digital Nomad is the Arachne level Patreon thing. That's me specifically in the PCM. And you get access to all the cool stuff that PCN makes, which is the live plays and some of the other podcasts. I know one of them is, I think, Patreon exclusive. I want to say it's Settling Southlands, I think.
Cheddar Boys, if you tell yourself your models until you finish painting everything, you'll never play again.
Wilmar has a good rule. Wilmar's rule is he buys a thing. I don't know if he always does it, but he says he buys a thing, plays it 10 times before he lets himself buy another box. And I'm like, that's a pretty good rule.
Yeah, there's a lot of solid thought behind that.
I think the biggest step is having anything that like interrupts the pulling the wallet out thing. Like, you're not gonna tell yourself you're not gonna be able to buy it, but in the situation like that, where you're just like, okay, I'm allowed to buy it, but I have to do some tiered process for it. And I think a lot of times you'll realize that, oh, well, I thought I wanted it, but maybe I didn't really actually want it. Did you lose sound? I'm still getting the wiggles. You might have to refresh. I can't type to him. Somebody tell him to refresh. Anyway, so now I got a little bit of Monument Hobbies Best Paint, blue-black. This thing is amazing. I still got the. Okay, everybody lost sound. No, because it's picking my thing up. Start replay buffer. Are you still listening to it? Okay. Okay, I might have to Bop! Yeah, it's definitely still recording me. Nothing. God damn it. God damn it.